What is up, everybody? I sound a little off because I just got over being sick, and technically I'm still sick. No, it's not Corona. Last video you guys watched, it was like -7 degrees outside or something like that. No joke, it's like 75 degrees out today. But in the time that I was sick, not only did I get a transmission, we got something that I didn't tell you guys about, but it came in at the same time. Boom, look at that. That is a Kruesi Originals 12 bar sub cage, whatever you want to call it. Look at that big old fat piece of titanium on the back. So every time I've talked about a scrape plate or a 12 bar or something like that, you guys have pretty much blown it up in the comments telling me to check out Kruesi's. They also hooked it up big time with some stickers and some shirts. Classy move. Look at that gusset. I just like the word gusset. After you guys blew it up big time in the comments about this sub cage, there's a lot of reasons I was sold on it, and I'm gonna go over that. The first thing that caught my eye was just the beefiness of it. This thing's gonna hold up. Looking further into it, I found Kruesi's video that they did on it. They did a video on their own YouTube channel about this 12 bar, and it was the first time that they cut this thing into a Fender, which I thought was pretty cool because you kind of got to see them cut it and test fit it into a Fender first. One of the other things I liked was the adjustments on it. Don't know if it's because this is for a 06 up. I don't know if the 05 lowers are still the same, but if you look at their video, their holes, they had 3 adjustments, but this one has 5. There's 5 different adjustment holes. So holding this up to the middle mark, that looks about dead on with where I'm scraping right now. All the way out on the farthest mark, that's pretty much dead 12 o'clock. Another reason I chose Kruesi's is that titanium. A lot of other scrape plates or kits out there that you can buy typically don't come with the titanium. They do sell replacement blocks for when you grind this one down. But I mean, look at that thing. Look how beefy that block is. That's a big titanium block. That's gonna send sparks for days. So if you guys are interested in getting the Kruesi's 12 bar sub cage, whatever you want to call it, I like calling it a 12 bar. I think they have it listed as a sub cage. I have a link in the description to not only their website where you can purchase this from, but also their YouTube video of them cutting this into the Fender, so you can see how they do it. And their video on their own channel cutting this thing into the Fender and then testing it, which I liked a lot. I like seeing a company that is down to test their products, because not gonna lie, and I'm not gonna point names, but there's a lot of companies out there that build stump parts and they don't go out and test them themselves, and the parts are typically pretty weak and just end up folding on you and everything. Testing it, scraping it, really beating up on the thing before they put it up on their website and say, hey, buy this, and trust that it's gonna hold when you go smack the end of it. Huge shout out to them. Go give them a thanks for me. Oh, also, one thing I didn't mention, somebody, I can't remember who posted it, you know who you are, somebody reminded me, I showed you the oil pan mod, but there's one thing I left out that I forgot about because I didn't have it in there with me. This sets inside the oil pan like that. When you put that tube in, obviously that tube is in the way now, so you'll want to mark this and those little bits right there. You'll want to cut out a channel for that tube to fit up in here so you can stick that back into the oil pan. So the way Kruesi showed how to cut this thing in there, there's this gusset right here, and they flipped it upside down and laid it down on top of the thing like that along the rails down to where the gusset was touching, and then you mark it right there and down. They marked it, I think, over, and then they cut down and around to follow that line. 2 things, my bike's an 06, but the 06 up have wider fenders. The one they cut in was a 05 lower, and they have a little bit thinner fenders, so this thing fit on the outside of the fenders to where they could slide it in. Mine doesn't. It fits about that far, and then it wants to push itself out. And yeah, I know I'm scuffing up the fender, but I mean, look at it. You think I really care about the scratches on there? I kind of want to cut up to just as straight of a line up to where I need it. But since I can't slide it over, what I'm gonna do, put it over the bolts on that middle mark. Just boom, right there on that middle mark. Top of the gusset is right here, which is what you want your fender to clear. So if I look at that, eyeballing it best I can, luckily, it looks like the top of this line right here is right where we need to cut up to, basically straight across. That is an ugly piece of metal. So here's a part of the problem I'm running into. Not with the bar, but with my struts. My strut is not only bent in like that, but it's also bent slightly up. So if you see the line on this one, you can see it's bent up as well. Two back ones just loosely held into place by some bolts, and I have this front one held in by some bolts, the one that's straight. And you can see that's not gonna line up in there. I mean, I'm sure I could force it and get a bolt in there, but I'd rather not. I can if I have to, but I'd really like to get this thing in there proper. So I need to get a big old pipe on the end of this thing so I can bend it over and down a little bit. I'm waiting on Dickie to come over. He's bringing a Dremel so we can cut this race off of here. We can cut a channel in this, and we can kind of fine tune the fender a little bit more. So we got the race off of there. Got it cut right there. Chilled it. It cracked the rest of the way and slid right off. Transmission out. It's out. So we got the transmission out. There's the old transmission. There's the new transmission. It's not new. It's a used one, but it's a working one. This is the old one. There's the inside of the transmission case. If you guys had never seen it before, I was a little worried at first because when I pulled it out, there's no teeth missing off of any of these gears. So I was like, oh my God. What if it's not my transmission? Took me a minute, but there is something wrong with it. So there's these shift forks right here. So when you change gears, you can see those shift forks, they move, and you know, it shifts into different gears and whatnot. I don't know how to explain transmissions. I'm not a transmission guy. Just bear with me while I try to explain this. I took the shift forks over this transmission. You can see this one's pretty chewed up. Something's been grinding into it, which is where I assume we got most of our metal from. And looking up in here, it's gonna really be hard to see. That shift fork sets right here, and it pushes these up into the gear to engage that gear right there. I'm gonna try to show it, but if you look in there, channels in there, that like webbing in between those channels, like right there, it's ground down and rounded off, and that's what these are supposed to go up into to engage that. So if I'm looking at this correctly, I believe what was happening is when I would shift in a second, the shift fork would be trying to pull these nubs up under this gear to engage this gear. Those nubs were rounded off with the channels being rounded off. If you go back and look at the video where my transmission originally started spinning second, if I would shift into it and not give it gas at all, it would engage second. As soon as I would give it any sort of gas, it's like it would slip out a second and start spinning. What was going on is I would shift to second, it would try to push up into that, and since they're rounded off, when I would give it gas, the torque, they would pop out and just be spinning right there, forcing the shift fork into the gear, and the gear spinning was grinding on this fork and tearing that up. I looked at this one, same gear, everything looks fine and crispy and nice and squared off, and nothing's rounded off or ground down or anything. So yeah, we got a transmission. I need to clean this one up. I don't have anything to clean it with right now though, so tomorrow I'm gonna have to go out, get some parts. I'm gonna get some stuff to clean this up. I'm gonna get some parts, like I need to get a new race to press onto here once I get this back in. I need to get new hardware for this, since I'm gonna be putting this in. I need to find a cheater bar where I can get on this strut and bend it straight enough to get this hooked up. But finally have the transmission out of the bike. We finally have a transmission to put back into the bike. Inside of the case, I know it's shiny in there because of all the oil, you can't see very well, but not as much metal inside the case as I thought there would be. There was a lot inside here, which I dug out with my finger. You can find that on my Instagram. I posted it on my Instagram. There was a good amount in here. I think we're finally over that hump and we're on our way down to buttoning this thing back up. So huge shout out to all my patrons. Huge shout out to Kruesi's for hooking it up big time on that 12 bar. We're definitely gonna be putting that thing to work. You know damn well I ain't just gonna sit here and talk about that thing. We're gonna be sending sparks for sure. We're definitely doing that. So thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it and I'll see you guys on the next one.